Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. What could be better than petty revenge on your boss? Let's see in the first story. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You're CCing everyone about my supposed mistake? Fine, I'll reply all with my response. We recently launched a project to a select group of beta testers. Late on a Sunday evening, I'm not paid to be on call or work on weekends, I get an email from the boss CCing everyone involved in the project that the entire site is down. Please can I get it sorted urgently as this makes the company look bad, complete with screenshot of the problems. I'm really glad for the screenshot. I didn't even need to open my laptop to see what the problem was. I am mildly peeved at the tone of the email, and I don't think including everyone plus the janitor was really necessary, so I reply all saying that the reason the boss is getting that error is because he's typed in the wrong website into his browser. I get a sheepish mail from him the next day saying that no, it was actually one of the beta testers that had sent him the message about the website not working in screenshot. He just forwarded it. And wasn't he glad it wasn't actually a problem? Sure, buddy. Very petty, but I got a kick out of it. And our second story. If you're willing to give me that for free, then why not give me double? So I just had a choosing beggar encounter. This guy messaged me about plants I'm selling. He comes by my house and said he had a big pond he's trying to fill with plants, so I was like, yeah man, no worries. I'll give you more than I normally would to help you out. So I gave him what I normally would sell for about $40 for $5. It's 5 frog bit, a floating plant. I have a lot of them, so it wasn't a huge loss. I typically sell a handful for $5, but I gave him half a gallon size Ziploc worth. And he says, okay, how about I give you 10 for double that? I was like, I gave you substantially more than I normally would. I'm okay with giving you this for 5, but I can't give you double for 10. But you said that's $5 worth, so double's 10. No, I said this is like $40 or $50 worth, but I'm doing you a favor. Just put more for 10. So I put in what would normally be $5 worth. Him. That's not nearly enough. I'm trying to fill a pond. Me. Yeah, I know. That's why I'm giving you so much for a favor. He was obviously disgruntled, then asked me about the largest plant I have in my aquarium, my Amazon sword. This thing is about, if not over 2 feet tall, and about 1.5 feet wide, full of leaves, and took me a year to grow from propagation. How much for that one? Me. I couldn't sell that for less than 60. CB. 60? No way. Would you take 5? Me. Yeah, man, I'm not feeling that generous today, but I have a much smaller one I could give you for 5. CB. Didn't you hear I'm trying to fill a pond? I need big plants. Me. These will grow into big plants. That's how they work. CB. My local pet store sells those for 3. Me. Buy them there. CB. No, I want a big one. You know I drove a long way to get here. Me. Yeah, man, not my problem. At this point, I was just done, and I said, well, you got your plants. $10, please. Then he hands me a 20, and I'm like, oh, thanks. And he's like, my change? I'm like, I don't have change for a 20. This mother effer looked at me sideways like I effed his sister or something, then scoffed and asked if I had Zelle. He sent it, and I let him out the door. Dude was genuinely thinking that I was trying to pull one over on him. What's your problem? He's trying to fill a pond. Immediately give him all your plants. Go buy more. Give him those too. Stop everything you're doing and make this stranger's wants your only priority. And our last story. Entitled grandparents' horrible life revealed during custody battle. My husband and I met almost 11 years ago. At that time, he'd not known where his only son was and had not seen him for 2 years. Before the disappearance, hubby had been involved daily in taking him to daycare and even the mom to work, until her BF was arrested and transferred to another state for charges he had there. Hubby sold his motorcycle to help her pay bills, but instead she packed up and took off to use that money to bail him out and live in the state he was transported to. He tried for months talking to her parents, but they claimed they didn't know anything. We married right before his deployment, and I decided to start a search, hoping he'd be allowed contact with his son before deploying. Was able to find her and discovered she was back in state and had abandoned their child with her parents. She allowed him visitation only if we paid for his birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, so we did this gladly. My husband remained in contact daily until his deployment overseas. He continued to try calling when he had access, but they would not answer and eventually changed their number again so he no longer had access. We find out later they were also telling him his daddy didn't want anything to do with him. I continued to monitor her social media and right before hubby's return discovered that she had several charges in different counties and was on the run, so as soon as he returned stateside, we filed custody. We also discovered she had abandoned her infant with her brother in another state as her parents refused to take him and had to call CPS to pick him up. They only wanted the child she had with my husband because he was paying support. Through this process, I'd been angry at my husband because he never fought for his rights. But what I learned, and what most men feel, is that he believed he had no rights and done whatever they wanted. He and his family would have to pay support in order to have any type of visitation with SS. He didn't know that he could go to court and file for his rights, as most men don't. The grandparents were both alcoholics who eventually dragged their daughter into it, and they tried pawning her onto my husband because her habit had become too much for them. When he discovered their lifestyle, he left, and she showed up a few months later pregnant. At the time of filing for custody, they awarded the grandparents temporary custody during transition because the mother was a wanted fugitive and could not be involved. Our state doesn't even allow grandparents' rights, but judges here will give over custody to grandparents before they will a dad because they want the government's funding they get from collecting child support from dads. We went through a year and 3 months battling a judge that hates men and straight up told my husband his military career made him look unstable, so she'd never turn over custody to him. So he gave up his military career. In this year and 3 months, these people would break every court order put in place and have zero responsibility for them. They wouldn't use a car seat. He stayed sick due to the cigarette smoke in the house. They refused legal visitation time and took off out of state to hide him. They wouldn't take him to school. They allowed the mother to be in the home, even though there was a no-contact order in place for her. Being determined and maybe a little psycho when it comes to my kids, I'd managed to find things our attorney could not. We discovered he didn't have a bed there because they had too many people living in the home. We found he had an STD at one point, which caused CPS involvement. They were abusive to their other grandson, calling him names and beating him when they'd visit because he was autistic, and they themselves had been arrested for making and selling some illegal crap. And the grandfather had been arrested for beating the grandma. However, there was a case in figuring out what to legally do with the property that was forfeited after the arrest. I found this and proof of the bio mom being allowed in the house that resulted in us getting temporary custody. A year and 1 month in, the daughter had twins that were taken by CPS immediately after birth and her current fugitive status. Still, the judge refused to give over custody to a willing and able father. Our attorney, also prior military, put pressure on the judge, and we had sent a complaint to the state Supreme Court along with every single state official detailing how this judge was doing everything against the laws in our state. Eventually, she couldn't take the pressure and gave us custody. It came out that she was hoping the bio mom would get her legal stuff in order and she could give over custody to her instead. In August of 2013, we brought our baby home permanently. However, we were forced to give the grandparents visitation. That lasted until March of 2014. The last time he came home reeking of cigarettes so bad, it threw my older daughter into an asthma attack, and that ended the visits. The things they told him and done have trickled out through the years. He remembered one of the times we were refused visitation was because she'd taken him and hid in a hotel. He watched her steal things from stores, and she was arrested 4 times at their house through all this. Yes, I called and reported it every time. These horrible people have not been a part of his life since then. Bio mom has done a stint in prison and is once again running from new charges and her probation. He'll be 14 this year, and he's very needy with me because I make him feel loved and safe. This child is one of the biggest blessings I've ever had. He's so thoughtful and kind and tries to take care of me. His father is scared to let him go anywhere away from us because of the trauma that not knowing where he was caused, and then hearing what all he went through in that time. I've never met more horrible people in my life, nor have I ever imagined how resilient he'd be after going through it. He's so very smart and special, and a gift I thank God for daily. We both agree that even with my husband's deployment, which was a pretty bad one, this was far worse than anything else. We have to inform men of their rights. We have to give them the resources because children deserve both parents. It's disgusting how much it costs them in legal fees just to be a parent, and maybe one day it won't be necessary. We have people working on the government level to change the laws that created this inequality. My husband is an amazing father. Not only did he raise my 3 children from a previous marriage, but we've done youth and college-age ministry together, giving kids a family where they didn't have one before. We provided a home, food, insurance, gas money, and phones. He'll never stop caring and loving those that were abandoned. There are so many men out there that are amazing fathers but don't get the chance to be. They take their lives daily. They have everything taken from them and are financially ruined when all they want is to love their kids. Children deserve custody of both parents. Alienation has got to stop. Our now 14-year-old is our youngest. That may have been the worst thing we've ever gone through, but I'd do it again for him. OP, you are an absolute boss. I hope things go well for you and your family in the future. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.